神は私たちが時を知るようにと願っておられます。
Because Bible prophecy has never been about nations and the way they interact between each other. It's about nations and the way they interact with Israel.
That's right.
Israel is the center of Bible prophecy.
今、イスラエルだけでなく、アメリカに対するイランからの攻撃に関し、緊張が高まっていますが、その行方に関して。
But I can tell you that I don't think the Iranian regime will be toppled on one hand, but on the other hand, I don't think they'll reach a nuclear weapon. Because if you do, you don't need to join Russia or Turkey. No one is going to touch you anyway. Okay? So my prediction, based on these two assumptions that are from the Bible, is that they're going to get hit, and they're going to wait for the moment that America is weak, and that they can join Russia and Turkey to come against Israel.
つまりエゼキエル戦争のことです。
And now comes maybe the brightest thing in this whole dark story. I believe that the number one thing that will cause America to almost dissolve is the rapture of the church. I don't need the clapping. I want to be out of here. First, I want a new body, because this tent is not for me. I want a building, and I want to be in the presence of the Lord whenever He comes to take us and meet with us in the clouds. Until then, we are up for an unbelievable ride on a roller coaster. Emotional roller coaster, physical roller coaster. It's going to be amazing. But remember, Jesus is coming soon.
Amir, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Jan. It's an honor to be on your show again.
You have watched America in transition here. A new administration. Joe Biden and company were, quite frankly, a burden to every Israeli and every American as well. How do you see things differently now? Obviously, Israel now has a friend back in the White House.
Absolutely. Joe Biden, I'm not even sure how much he was in control of his own administration. I think it was just an extension of the Obama administration. But definitely, we have our friend back in the White House. And it's not just that President Trump is a person that can easily identify evil from good and go after the evil and stand by the side of the good. But also he surrounded himself this time with amazing people that have moral clarity and understand exactly who the victim and who must be eradicated in this whole Gaza conflict and Hezbollah. And I think Israel could have never asked for a better team than the one that Trump recruited around him this time.
イスラエル駐在大使となったマイク・ハカビーは元アーカンソー州知事で南部バプティスト教会神学セミナー出身の牧師でもある力強い福音派クリスチャンです。
We got all the weapon that we paid for and was denied from us. We got it already. We got all the D9 Caterpillar bulldozers finally back here, and we are definitely equipped to phase 2 and into whatever is needed in order to finish and win this war. We have to win this war.
I had Michelle Bachmann on air last week, and I played a clip with her on air with me of the World Economic Forum guys stating, "We are the losers." Can you imagine a globalist outfit blatantly coming out and saying, because Donald Trump won, we are the losers? Amazing.
Yeah, they're panicking right now. Everybody understands that you cannot fool the American administration anymore. But I think that it's beyond the World Economic Forum. I think the World Health Organization, I think that the USAID, I think that all of those organizations are now, they understand party is over, the bank is closed.
Mm-hmm. Amir, you said, sort of quoting you here, that the aftermath of October 7th, 2023, was worse than the aftermath of the Holocaust. How is this possible? Help us understand.
I know that obviously the Holocaust of World War II was far greater, extended longer time with 6 million Jews murdered. But what happened after the Holocaust? The Jewish people were known to be the victims. And of course, the state of Israel was born and the world rallied somehow to help us. What we saw on October 7th is exactly the opposite. We were invaded, we were butchered, we were burned alive, we were raped, we were killed, we were kidnapped. And the very same day, riots and rallies all around the world against us. And the interesting thing is the outcome of the Holocaust, which is the state of Israel, became the reason for the second Holocaust that we had on October 7th. So it's very interesting how the world so easily forgets the first Holocaust. And for years I was struggling. How can it be that such a well-documented genocide during World War II can be denied by anyone? And then came October 7th, and you have even more documentation. And it was denied faster than ever. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about an amazing brainwashing and psych op that was launched on Israel that very same day. It was well orchestrated, well organized, and well executed.
So it seems what you're saying and what I'm perceiving is that a mindset went around the world. It's not a new mindset. It's anti-Israel, anti-Jewish, etc. Amir Tsarfati, Israel may be the most humane military anywhere. You are a part of it.
Yes, I'm a part of it, and I'm disgusted by what I hear because we lost so many soldiers just because we would never intentionally kill women and children. And the ratio between the combatant and civilians in the Gaza war is the lowest in warfare history. And that's why I am so amazed at this direct hatred and bogus accusation of Israel.
Well, I think what happened, Amir, is Israel derangement syndrome. This spread around the world back in late 2023 as a result of October 7th. We saw globally cheering for Hamas, and we've seen cheering for Hamas ever since, and we must denounce Israel globally. So somehow I think that demonic spirit, and who knows, I'm sure they were predisposed to it before October 7th, but they certainly are caught up in this cheering for Hamas, or I just call it Israel derangement syndrome. And I'm going to play a clip of you, Amir, and then I want to come back and talk about it. Here you are talking about Islam needs to be neutered or defeated or diluted. Probably Gog and Magog is going to allow that to happen. And then we come to some information on the Temple Mount, and I think that is very much on the minds of lots of people. Let's play this clip and then come back and discuss it.
Will the Antichrist be of Jewish descent, another nationality, and will he be responsible for building the third temple? We don't have 5 hours, but I will tell you, first of all, that the building of the temple is something that the Jewish people are going to do. Definitely, they need approval from a world leader in order to do something that potentially could bring World War III or IV, depends when. But I will tell you that, you know, the Jewish people don't look at the Messiah as a God. And so obviously when they will have the wrong choice, the wrong pick, it will be a man. And obviously him bringing peace, prosperity, and allow them to build a temple will definitely help them to see him, or in him, messianic components that are essential for them to move to a level of worshiping God for the first time in 2,000 years from a temple in Jerusalem. For a temple to be built on Temple Mount in Jerusalem, you cannot have Islam as a major religion that is threatening the world. Islam has to come to a point where it is defeated and diluted. And what am I trying to say? In the Ezekiel war of Ezekiel 38 and 39, although Russia, from economic reasons, will lead it, it will be the Turkish and the Persian, the Iranians, that will come from their own reasons. And of course, they are under their auspices is the radical Muslim groups. And once they are defeated, I believe that hundreds of millions of Muslims will have to say, okay, it's not working. And radical Islam is not working. And what is Islam anyway? And when the Antichrist is going to rise from what I believe Western Europe is today, from where the Roman Empire came to destroy the Second Temple, I believe that he will somehow introduce a new world religion that will not necessarily make you think that you're giving up everything else, but it will be Christless one, obviously, because the worship is a worship of the dragon, it's the worship of Satan, but under many, many different
facades, masks.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, and when that happens, why not having a spiritual awakening in the Middle East in the midst of a victory that God will win for Israel in Ezekiel 38? And so there will be messianic aspirations in Israel, and in the midst of the messianic aspirations, after God won the war for them, they'll actually vote for the wrong person as if he's the Messiah. Because he's offering them something that nobody ever offered before, a temple to be built and worship to be resumed there. But it's the same person who will then, 3.5 years later, stop the sacrifice, enter the temple, and say, I am God, worship me.
この件に関しては、ダニエル書9章27節、マタイの福音書24章15節、黙示録13章に書いてありますのでご覧ください。
Amir, you said so much there, but I want to pick up on your closing thought. You said God wins the war for them, but they turn around and lean towards the Antichrist because he's going to offer them a temple. Help us understand this.
This is not the first time Israel is enjoying the victory that God provides, but then foolishly making bad choices after that. I mean, we see that all throughout the Old Testament, of course, and even in the New Testament. Jesus came and died for us, and yet as a nation, we rejected him. So it's not like it should surprise anyone. I think that the Bible is clearly stating that when a Jew turns to Christ, that's when the veil, until then, there is a veil. And the veil was there. Obviously, they hardened their hearts, but God also gave them a spirit of stupor, eyes they cannot see and ears that they cannot hear. And that was, of course, part of God's way to reach out to the Gentiles.
Yes.
And through their fall, as Romans 11 says, salvation was given to the Gentiles. My prediction, of course, is that Israel as a nation will make that mistake and follow the one that introduced to them not just peace and not just prosperity, but the big prize, I mean, the temple himself. And by the way, after October 7th, one of the things I notice is there's a huge exodus from secularism and hedonism all the way towards Judaism. And more Jewish people that once never believed even in God are now in the new circle of they want to believe in God, they want to see the temple built, they want to see Messiah comes. It's a package deal. And so I see that the aftermath of October 7th, and once everything will be over with this war, there will be a political big bang in Israel that will emerge new movements and new political movements, but also social ones that will push more and more for a more firm stand on Israel right over the land, over Jerusalem, and over the Temple Mount. And so I see the ground becoming ready for that. And it'll take one more big war for the Jews to say, enough is enough. We want a temple.
Thank you for that clarification. That's very, very helpful. So we have seen for the last almost 16 months Israel being prepared for, let's just say, a last days role. But how did October 7th, again, going back to 2023, how has that furthered their role being prepared for the Antichrist? Now, you just outlined some of it, and I appreciate that clarification. But how has this hostage crisis prepared their mindset for their final day role?
I believe that finally all of us understand who we're up against, and we finally understand that peace with these monsters is not going to happen. We finally understand that a Palestinian state basically is an idea that should be completely removed from the table. And for Israel to be safe and secure and prosperous, it can only happen when we have no enemies that are trying to kill us day and night at our border. So I think that Israel is going unashamedly, is going to say enough is enough. If the Palestinians don't want to live next to us, they need to leave this place. And we're watching it. And again, this is the first time in the history of this modern state of Israel, a prime minister will sit with the U.S. president in the Oval Office, and all they will speak about is not concessions of Israel in the West Bank and not concessions of Israel in Gaza. It's about displacing the Gaza. It's about moving them away. And it's about Israel staying now in Lebanon, in southern Lebanon, in the northern border, and Israel keeping parts of Syrian soil that we just took in the aftermath of the fall of Assad. These are historic things. These are amazing things. And again, these might be the excuse later on of others to come against us. Hey, you're still holding this land, and hey, you're still holding that land. But Israel is positioning itself right now as the most strongest component in the Middle East that moderate countries such as the UAE and Saudi Arabia, at this point, it's kind of moderate, I mean, compared to all the others, they want to flock around Israel, and they want to have Israel as its protector rather than anything else. Make no mistake, there is no great love between Turkey and Saudi Arabia, and between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and between Russia and Saudi Arabia. So I do believe that Israel will be the center point in that peace that started with the Abraham Accords will expand, of course, during Trump's administration. Yeah. And that will cause the countries to envy. That will cause the country to be jealous and to want what we have. And the minute the U.S. support in Israel will diminish or will be gone, they'll immediately make a move and come against us.
I'm thinking of the verse in Jeremiah 6. I'm thinking of it all the time. Peace, peace, when there is no peace. Is this not setting the stage for Jeremiah 6?
Yes, it is, because we will think there is peace.
Yes.
But then what are we going to get? A bigger war. There's no doubt about it. And even after the Ezekiel war, they will say peace, peace. And then the Antichrist will bring about even bigger disaster upon us. So obviously, it's not until Jesus will come back with us that Israel will truly have peace. But you're right. I think that we're setting ourselves right now to a illusion that it's going to be a long-lasting peace.
God wants the Israeli people to be thinking about him. And I'm quoting you here. You have said before they can believe in the Son of God, Jesus, they must believe that there is a God. And isn't that happening, though, as we speak, to some degree?
Yes, it is. As I said, the October 7th caused many Israelis to think twice about why they are here, who they are, why is it that we're being hated? And if we're being hated as Jews, no matter what our political views are, why don't we just be proud of being Jews and not always try to hide it? So a lot of them start going back to synagogues, start getting closer and closer to Judaism. And with that comes, of course, the strong conviction that there is a God. That's the step forward that they made.
エゼキエル戦争に向けての準備が整いつつあり、神の霊がすでにイスラエルに働かれているのが見えます。異邦人の満ちる時、つまり景挙が近いと思います。